Welcome back to yet another edition of HT's Concert Review, and again this time with the Foo Fighters. This time from my hometown of Oklahoma City at the Zoo Amp. This is the second of the back-to-back Foo Fighters show I went to, with the first one being in Bonner Springs. Even though I've lived in Oklahoma virtually my whole life, this is the first time seeing a show at the Zoo Amp. And I'm pretty sure my balls were sweating from sun up to sundown because it was a hot one.
My balls was hot. I understand.
I had such an awesome time hanging out with my Foo family, and I'm counting down the days until I get to do it again. Like I said, this was a sweltering Oklahoma day, and the whole time waiting we were trying to find shade, and I think for the most part the group did a good job of hydrating and conserving our energy throughout the day up until about showtime. As we're getting closer to showtime, we assumed that those of us who had the quote-unquote VIP pit tickets were going to have security take us to a path to get down to where we needed to go to safely. At least that's what the Amphitheater security had me thinking. It was the complete opposite, and I'm utterly shocked that no one got severely hurt going down to the pit, as it turned into a free-for-all thanks to these PCU extra wannabe motherfuckers, turning into a free-for-all getting down that steep-ass hill. I was still very fortunate enough to get my front center spot, but the Zoo Amp really needs to step up their game when it comes to this shit. Not to mention, this is the only stop on this leg of the tour who would not let you bring in like a bottle of water or even an empty bottle of water to fill up. And with it being during the summertime at 95 degrees, to me that's just very irresponsible. I understand that the purpose of putting on concerts and having vendors is to make money.
Yay, capitalism!
But to me it's just very irresponsible in the dead of summertime to even allow a practice like that. And I'll mention this later on in the review, but there were people passing out, so for them not to let us bring in water just seems irresponsible to me. As far as the amphitheater itself, I kind of like it. It's got a bit of a charm to it. You're going to get fairly close to the stage, you have the pit ticket, and the steep slope of the venue gives a pretty good view if you're sitting higher up. Now, I was disappointed that there was hardly any water vendors who were taking credit cards. Like, how in the fuck in 2021 during a fucking pandemic, not everyone is able to take a credit or a debit card is beyond me. And it's also so Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
Now let's get on to the show. Just like the rest of this leg of the tour, Ratchet is your opener, and just like last time in Bonner Springs, they kicked ass. There was a slight difference in this performance than the last, as I think they went on a bit longer than the show before. I'm having a hard time finding a set list, but I did feel like they played more songs in Kansas. I did like the Kansas performance better than this one, but overall they still did a great job. Again, check these guys out. They're going on a little tour themselves, and I know they're playing at some festivals, so please check these guys out. Overall, I'm going to give them a solid A. On to the greatest rock and roll band in the land, the Foo Fighters. This marked my 7th Foo Fighters show ever, and the 3rd one of the year, and each time I watch them, I love them even more. The only real difference between this show and the one before it in Kansas was there was no Violet Grohl, and they were able to squeeze in Aurora. But overall, I thought they sounded great per usual. There was a concerning moment during Aurora, which was toward the end of the set where a fan had passed out roughly 3 rows behind me. I'm really surprised there wasn't more. I'm sure there's a few more throughout the venue, as I think it got to like 97 degrees during the day. Sorry, I really don't have too much to add to this show, as most Foo Fighter shows are fairly similar. If there's a common complaint among Foo Fighter fans, is that they're pretty much the same set list. It's a simple formula for them. There's about 15 songs that 90% of the crowd likes, and the rest of their set list comes usually from a new album or a cover or two. It's a great formula, but someday I wish they would reward the diehards and maybe play like 10 hits and 10 songs they would rarely play at shows. Comment below on which songs you would love to hear at a Foo Fighters show. Per usual, I'm giving them an A+. Overall, I'm giving this show an A. The pros were Aurora and my Foo family. Cons, heat, lack of vendors taking credit cards, and poor planning by security. As always, comment, like, subscribe, and you can follow me on Facebook at HD's Concert Review. My next show review will be a different one for me, as I'll be reviewing Beartooth at the Diamond Ballroom, right here in Oklahoma City. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your life.